Not the best news to talk about following yesterday's game for Duke basketball in the Elite Eight. The season has come to a close. We got to process all of this. The year is over for Duke men's basketball. Let's have a chat here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils.
Hi, everybody. Dick Vitale. Hey, make sure you listen, man, to Locked On Blue Devils with J.J. Jackson. He's awesome, baby.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you for being here with us on April 1st, 2024. It is April Fool's Day. However, it is no joke. The Duke basketball season has come to a close following yesterday's Elite Eight loss to NC State. Duke's season finishes with a 27-9 record on the year and one win shy of going to the first Final Four under head coach Jon Scheyer. We'll break down the entire game with our good friend Jordan Mann, who joins us on the show, talk a little bit about the win over Houston this weekend as well to put Duke in the position to play in that Elite Eight basketball game. But unfortunately, the year is over for Duke Hoops, and now we really focus on conversations regarding the roster for next year and just things we really don't want to have. How did this happen? Let's talk about that game and a whole lot more. If you have not done so already, please be sure to follow and subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Also, make sure that you follow us on X at LO_Blue Devils. I'm there as well at _JJ_Jackson_ and watch the show each and every day on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, like this video, and share it with your friends. So without further ado, let's bring him on in. Jordan Mann is here with us today. And my friend, look, it stings. The year is over. We move into off-season mode, and again, Duke ends the year one win shy of getting to go to the Final Four. How are you?
I'm all right, man. Look, I slept on it. It sucks for sure, but look, NC State's the hottest team in the country. Duke just picked a bad day to have a bad day, and that's just what it came down to. Duke we'll dive into it, but yeah, it sucks.
Destiny's a real thing in sports, right? And it just feels so much like this NC State team is a team of destiny, a team that gets to continue a magical ride onto the Final Four. Purdue will be their opponent that they're waiting for. And on the other side, there is UConn and Alabama. So should be an exciting Final Four coming up this weekend in Phoenix. Just unfortunately, the Blue Devils won't get to be a part of it. Just really tough to kind of watch this game unfold. And the days leading up to it as well, right? After Duke wins in the Sweet 16, right before Duke took the floor, we saw NC State knock off Marquette, and we saw a Marquette basketball team not make anything at all from three-point range. And what do you know? The same thing pretty much happens to this Duke team as well, man. Crazy, crazy stuff this weekend.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Marquette missed like 27 threes. I know Jared McCain was 5 of 11, but he didn't make any threes like in the early part of the game until late in the game when the game was kind of already out of reach. Duke shot 5 of 20 from three, including his 5 threes. So he was the only guy for Duke that made a three-pointer. And Proctor 0 for 9. Like it was just, I don't know. They have a horseshoe up their butt or something in Raleigh right now. And look, that's what makes March special. And 11 seed they were 17-14. They're 26-14 now. It's just insane that they have one less win on the record now than Duke does. Duke finishes 27-9, and NC State has 26-14.
That's a good perspective. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. But to see the record where Duke's at now and this magical ride that NC State is on, yeah, they still haven't even reached the season total that Duke has had. They've got an ACC tournament championship in their hardware and now a trip to the Final Four because they're winning when it matters most. And so tip of the cap to this NC State team for what they've been able to do. With that being said, the year comes to a close for Duke. I thought this was kind of ironic and a pretty cool tidbit here with the 27-9 overall record. That's identical to what Duke finished record-wise in Jon Scheyer's first season as the head coach. Of course, Duke makes the run and wins the ACC tournament championship in year one before falling to Tennessee in the round of 32. So you make it a couple of rounds further in the NCAA tournament. No ACC tournament championship for this year's Duke basketball team, but it ends up with an identical record in the first two seasons under Jon Scheyer.
Yeah, look, I mean, every year is different. Like, everybody likes to try and say everything's the same. I know people try to write off Duke, and a lot of people did, of course, when Duke lost 2 in a row to end the season. It's like, well, normally, historically, a Duke team that loses 2 in a row loses the first weekend, or whether it's round 64, round of 32. And Shirer's team regrouped. Like, they reset after a tough stint against UNC and NC State, and they regrouped and ran the tables to the Elite Eight where nobody had them going. And you talked about Houston in the opening there. Like, Duke beat the number 1 seed. Yes, Shed went down, but guess what? Duke's been without Caleb Foster, who was a starting guard for them throughout the year, and they had to deal with injuries. And you just have to adapt. And shout out to Duke for beating the 1 seed in their bracket. And it just didn't make shots the next game. That's what happens. You come up short, but you can't harp on this loss as much as people want to. It sucks, but it's the Elite Eight, and this team made that step. I know they were AC champs last year, but look, they ran the table, then they got bounced early. This year, they got even further. Next year, if somebody, which we might dive into, somebody, 1 or 2 guys stay, maybe they can take it to the next weekend where it's the Final Four. So Shire's doing the right things for Duke, and I'm really happy where he is after year 2 of his tenure.
It's really hard to win in March, like really, really hard to win these type of games. We've seen programs who have played basketball for a really long time never even make it to this part of the tournament, and Duke's been there more times than we can remember. You know, you look at the Elite Eight matchup we saw this weekend as well between Clemson and Alabama. One of those teams wins, they get to go to their first Final Four ever. And we know that it's Alabama who picks up that win and goes on. Purdue is going to their first Final Four in 44 years. It has been nearly as long for NC State since they've made it this far into the tournament. So this Duke basketball team is really good. It's a team that we're going to think back on, and I think we'll have many positive memories. Just it stings right away, which is another reason why, Jordan, I'm glad you and I took last night following the game to sleep on it, right? And to not immediately come off this raw and with the emotions that we saw the guys in the locker room have as well, because the immediate aftermath is always a whole lot worse than reality actually is.
Yeah, and anytime Duke loses on the big stage, everybody, not just Duke fans, just the general population loves to think the sky is falling for Duke. I've seen it the whole time, my whole life, and you just got to have perspective and take a step back. Like, I saw somebody like national media saying that is Shire's seat warm. In reality, Scheyer in his 2 years at Duke might be the best coach in the ACC. If you really take a step back and look at it, like Hubert Davis missed the tournament last year where you could say that he would be up there, but Scheyer probably is the best coach in the ACC, I'd say, with what he's done the first 2 years. So it's just everybody just has to take a deep breath and sigh of relief and just realize, like, Elite Eight team's fine, and then year 3, we'll see what happens with Cooper Flagg and company.
Duke had the greatest coach of all time, named Mike Krzyzewski, walk up and down the sidelines for 42 seasons and walked away with just 5 national championships. 37 years under Coach K ended in disappointment from those championship expectations. That is 12% of the time. It's insane how that positive of a rate that Duke had going under Coach K. Like, this is hard, and Duke is certainly making steps in the right direction. So, forgive us for taking more of the optimistic route, as I've said every time, and I hope Locked On Blue Devils learned to love about me. I'm always going to take that optimistic outlook. There is a really awesome recruiting class coming into play for this Duke basketball team. There's going to be a lot of awesome players who come back on this 2023-2024 squad who factor in to next season. But, I think we've got to be kind of okay with how the season went. And there is a little bit of a narrative out there that this is a disappointing season for Duke basketball. Give me a break. This is a Duke team that went all the way to the Elite Eight, one of the 8 teams remaining in the Big Dance, really excited to see how well they played at the end.
Yeah, no, you said it best. Like, if you want national championships, you're going to be severely disappointed because Coach K is the greatest of all time, and he won 5. And he didn't win his first one until year 11. And there's a lot of people that don't want to give Shire 3 years to get the chance. And it's like, take a breath, relax. Like, Duke's going to have to do something in the portal. Like, the one thing that makes Coach K the GOAT was his ability to adapt. And that was from no shot clock to 35-second shot clock to 30-second shot clock to no three-pointer to three-pointer to a farther three-pointer. And then you go from 4-year guys to 1 year, one-and-done guys. And he didn't want to adapt to that. He openly said he didn't want to do it, and then he realized he needed to do it. Now, the new era of modern college basketball is the transfer portal. So Duke's is going to have to adapt that way, and they will. They're going to try. It's just more difficult to get into Duke than there is other places. But Shire will find a way to do that.
Yeah, people want to play for Duke basketball, so we'll find them. And again, the number 1 recruiting class in the country is coming in, and this is a Duke team that's already littered with McDonald's All-Americans and high-profile recruits. Now you just got to put them together. We got to figure out what that roster looks like. We're not done talking about the Elite Eight, however. The season is over, and people want to hear us break down the game, so we're going to do just that for you. But we need to take our first time out here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. We're back in a moment. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at Gametime. There is no greater app when it comes to ticketing than our friends over at Gametime. Gametime is also now an authorized ticket marketplace for Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even easier and faster. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. You could pick out any specific game or matchup that you'd love to attend. Find good deals over at Gametime. You could save any more with the exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event. Get a panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy. It has the lowest price guarantee, or Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Again, opening week continues with Major League Baseball. We saw it this past weekend, but several teams still haven't even had their home opener. Go be a part of that with our friends at Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, good time of year with the sports calendar. Obviously, it's April now. We're talking about our friends at Gametime and making a part of the Major League Baseball season off and running. The majority of the Duke fan base feels like is in the heart of Braves country as well. Jordan and I are in that same boat. The Braves have a home opener this Friday against the Arizona Diamondbacks. A successful start to the year in Philadelphia this past week, and they've got a couple in Chicago against the White Sox. But, basketball may be over, but it's a good time of year. Plenty of reasons to smile when you walk outside, Jordan.
Oh, yeah. The weather's great now. Baseball started. Basketball's ending for some, and then spring football is coming around the corner for football fans. So it's a good time of the year. So just take a deep breath and enjoy it.
I love it. Exciting stuff as always. And let's talk a little bit more though about the game that we saw being played last night between Duke and NC State. Duke, of course, has their season come to a close following the loss against the North Carolina State Wolfpack. Again, Jordan, if you will, tell me some of those bigger things that stood out to you in this one.
I mean, right off the bat is just Proctor. Proctor 0 for 9 from the field, 0 for 5, and just everything that and I'll say his stat line, but this goes for the whole backcourt for Duke, that they just seemed like, I tweeted about it last night, they just seemed like the way they played, they felt like Duke was down 10 points with 2 minutes to go the whole game. They were just pressing offensively I thought for no reason. I don't know what was going on, but every shot they shot, it felt like there was magnitude behind it for no reason. And they just didn't let the game come to them early on. And the backcourt press. I mean, Jeremy Roach was 5 of 13 as well, and it's just that it's tough. Like I always say, guard play wins you games in March, and then as we saw last night, guard play loses you games in March, and that's just what I saw.
Yeah, taking a look at some of these numbers as well for the Duke basketball team, the shooting in both halves, a little concerning for the Duke basketball team, just 27 points there in the first half, a 6-point lead for the Blue Devils at the break. They had a 3-point lead in their win over NC State back in Raleigh, a 3-point deficit at halftime for Duke in their loss in the ACC tournament. But even watching that first half unfold and listening to the guys in the locker room afterwards, I think Ryan Young made the good point that, still it felt a little crazy on the offensive end of the floor. John Shire on the TV broadcast called the first half offense disjointed down the stretch. And you hate to say it, obviously now hindsight is 20/20, but in a lot of ways, that first half really didn't set Duke up that well to take advantage of NC State shooting so poorly. They overcorrected, and what an abnormal second half shooting display we saw from the Wolfpack, who were unbelievable to start that second half of basketball shooting. But again, in a game like that, you can kind of point back to that first half because it is a 40-minute game, and Duke could have had a much larger lead, it felt.
Yeah, no, I mean, Duke was up 6 at half. Duke should have been up double digits. NC State was not getting any good looks on offense. Duke was doing a great job defensively. And then Duke was just missing open shots. Like, it was crazy. There was so many open layups or around the rim shots. That even though it was semi-contested, Duke just was flailing. And I'm just like, go up strong. And you can't do that. And this game reminded me of the Houston game where I was like, if Duke takes the lead against Houston, I don't care if it goes back and forth, but if Duke can just show they can take the lead, they're going to win this game. That's the confidence I felt. And then in this game, I said if NC State could take the lead against Duke, Duke's going to lose this game. And they finally, Duke had it would get it to 8, instead of cut it to 4, go to 8, 4, like that. And then NC State took that one lead, Duke got it back, and then NC State got it and never let it go again. And that's just how the game felt. It felt like Duke was just holding on for dear life way too early in the game rather than just playing their own game. So it sucks. It sucks. I mean, Phil Palski obviously struggled too, but it's the guards that really stood out for me because Duke's offense at the end of the day to me is guard-oriented. That's what made Duke get to the Elite Eight is their guard play, and Phil Palski had a really good first 3 rounds. He struggled this one, and he was visibly frustrated in the second half, and Duke just really lacked composure. Like when things went tough, everybody was freaking out, and it showed on their faces.
It was one of the better free throw shooting days that we saw from this Duke basketball team. Kyle Filipowski goes 5 for 5. Haven't had one of those outings in a long time for Flip, but yet the shooting from the floor just was not there. Didn't make a single shot from 3-point range, 3 of 12 overall. And at half, with Duke having a 6-point lead, Kyle Filipowski has just 2 points. Started to go to work a little bit there in the second half, but a reminder to people, in that game in the ACC tournament, Flip had 28 points against the Wolfpack and kind of kept Duke in it down the stretch there, and we just did not get that same Kyle Filipowski. The guards were 7 of 28 in that game against the Wolfpack, talking about the likes of Jeremy Roach, Jared McCain, and Tyrese Proctor, and the percentage ended up being, I believe 10 for 37 combined for the Duke guards in a game like this.
Yeah, that was that you said it best. I mean, the guards did not play well. The last time Duke and NC State played, Duke lost. Guards did not play well again against NC State, Duke lost. Like Filipowski had 28 and 14. I think Mitchell had like 15 or 16 in that previous matchup. And it wasn't enough because guard play, you have to win with your guards. And also, like, one thing I wish, I don't know, I trust Shire and stuff. Like, I love Shire. But the one thing I was confused on was Sean Stewart's minutes, because his best game of the year was in Raleigh in Duke's win against NC State, where he played his season high, I think it was 26 or 27 minutes, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 3 blocks, 2 steals, in a game where your team they couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat. You need that energy to get those offensive rebounds, just tip outs. And then defensively, can he guard Burns one-on-one? No, but what he can do is have him and Flip on the court together where DJ Burns backs Flip down, and then you have the athleticism of Sean Stewart trying to block a shot just to give him a different look. And so that I didn't understand. Like, he played 11 minutes, but 7 of those were at the end of the game when the game was basically done after Filipowski fouled out. So I don't know. I just wish he would have gotten some more early minute burn.
Yeah, would have helped, I think, because he was bringing it. He had the big block early against Middlebrooks where he pinned it on the backboard, had the long review in the second half where he did end up with a block on DJ Burns. Just so thrilled with what we saw from Sean Stewart. Let me get the numbers correct for people out there. The guards were 13 of 42 in the basketball game yesterday, not 10 for 37, but still point range, just not efficient with what Duke got out of their backcourt in a game like this. Duke falls 76-64 against the NC State Wolfpack, and the season is over for the Duke Blue Devils. Let's take one more time out here on the show today, and we'll wrap up here in just a moment on this fine episode of Locked On Blue Devils. Locked On Blue Devils is brought to you today by our friends over at Fire TV. That's right, we're talking about our friends over at Amazon. Fire TV is your destination for sports. From live games to highlights, in-depth analysis, Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire TV stick that you could plug into your existing TV. Fire TV recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us at Locked On and most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV channels let you dive into all of the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep you up to date on all the latest in the world of sports. March Madness, NBA, Major League Baseball, and a lot more. Not to mention great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, cooking videos as well. Check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you should. Trust me on this. To learn more, visit Amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. Let's wind down today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. JJ Jackson joined today by my good friend Jordan Mann from the Big J and Little J show. He's on X at JMan's Takes. Tell people a little bit about your work, Jordan.
J show will be recording probably either today or tomorrow to sum up the Duke season. Find it on Apple and Spotify and on YouTube at my YouTube's JMan_, and you can find film breakdowns on there as well. We'll break down this film and then probably do, selective film in the off season just to get fans some more content. But yeah, just YouTube is JMan_, and then the Big J Little J show is where you can find your podcast.
Yeah, excited to hear you and Connor break it all down. Connor O'Neill, of course, of the Devils Illustrated, is the Big J in the equation of that show there and was in Dallas, fresh on the scene. So really excited. Check all of that out. All right, so the season's now over for the Duke men's basketball team. We talked a little bit about, hey, it's over, but it was a really positive season for the Duke team, walking away with that fresh perspective. With that being said, now becomes the time where you turn the page. Now we get ready for the transfer portal chaos that might ensue. I would imagine there will be Duke players who exit the program. I'm quick to put out the scholarship charts on social media and on our YouTube page here when we get going, and I'll have that coming in the days and weeks to come. But it looks like we'll have a couple of new faces, several new faces, a part of Duke Hoops next year. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's fair to say. It's safe to say. I mean, obviously, Shire has the ultimate decision, and we'll see what he goes with. But yeah, obviously, that's probably where I'm leaning towards.
Yeah, 4 scholarships over the limit right now. So with the expiration of college eligibility for someone like Ryan Young, obviously that's an easy decision to be made. Spencer Hubbard was a walk-on who had a scholarship at the end of the year. That will not carry over to this next season. But right now, it's a big recruiting class coming in for Duke with several players who have signed their letter of intent. We saw it this offseason a year ago around this time that someone like Mackenzie Mbako backed off his LOI that he had already turned in. So that certainly could change. But seems as though we're going to have many more of those conversations coming up about what that roster will kind of look like.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you don't know until they step foot on campus is what the saying is. Like, you just never know. They've been committed for forever, but something could happen with one of the commits. We've seen it. And so I think, though, Duke will be in good hands regardless. I do think, like I said, I think Duke will go in the portal for one of two things, either another big body or a guard. And what type of guard? It just depends who stays.
We're now displaying the scholarship outlook for Duke Hoops in 2024-2025. If you're watching with us on YouTube, of course, Jeremy Roach has a COVID year of eligibility. If he would like to come back and play for Duke basketball, that would count towards their scholarship number, and that's just what this chart displays. If everybody were to come back, it just couldn't happen, as Duke has overcommitted in terms of scholarships there. Someone like Kyle Filipowski, a surefire projected first-round pick at the next level. I think Jared McCain has safely inserted him into the same position as well. We saw NBA draft buzz for Tyrese Proctor last season, and going into this season, who knows what type of pro decision he might make. And then even guys like Christian Reeves or Jaden Schutt, Jalen Blakes, if their days are done wearing that Duke uniform, if they were to decide to transfer and leave. Mark Mitchell becoming more of a popular name in the Duke Twitter world, I should say, of guys that might ultimately look to play basketball elsewhere. But after a year where Duke did not have a single person transfer out of the program, looks like we're going to have to do that, or you're going to have to tell these incoming freshmen, never mind, you need to find something else to do here.
Yeah, that would be an interesting take in the Twitterverse if that was like pick your war, keep this roster, get these people, or get the new guys to come in instead. That'd be a fascinating discussion. And when I say fascinating, I mean World War III on Twitter. So it would be roster reconstruction is just a thing, and it's just part of what it is to be a program like Duke. It's every school now, but Duke is a surefire. They want the one and dones on top of roster reconstruction where you get transfer portal guys as well. So that's what makes it more difficult, is like you can't just plug in a freshman like Elliot Cadeau, for example, for UNC. You can't just be like, hey, just run the offense. Like, what you lack, we just need you to be a passer. Duke needs like a Cooper Flagg and has an expectation that you're going to be the leader of this team. And that's the difference right now in Duke. And they're trying to plug in portal guys to be role players. Most guys in the portal don't want to be role players. They want to be the guy. So that's where it gets difficult for a program like Duke.
Yeah, Cooper Flagg will be playing basketball for Duke next year. That's a good thing. The number one recruit in all of America. He is right now projected to be the number one draft pick in his 2025 class. He is very good at basketball, and Duke's got him. He's going to come play for the Duke Blue Devils, which is epic. And I think the team construction probably has that in mind a little bit. I'm sure that's what John Shire and the coaching staff are looking at. And then also, let's think of this. The coaching carousel will continue to turn and evolve in the days and weeks to come. We saw Emmanuel Dildy join the staff from outside the Brotherhood last season. I'm hopeful that Duke can carry over every assistant that they've got on staff from this year's team, but that's not a guarantee. Someone like Emile Jefferson ends up getting an offer to go join the Boston Celtics coaching staff, right? And so then he leaves this Duke team. I've loved what Duke's gotten out of Jay Lucas. I hope that he's able to be retained, although I'm sure a head coaching opportunity is for sure in his future. But even the coaches is kind of those storylines to be on the lookout for in the days and weeks to come.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, JJ. I mean, that's part of like having a good roster is having consistency with the coaching staff. And then Shire's done a really good job of plugging in new guys with his motto. And actually Jay Lucas was like the big splash, and Jay's done outstanding. Like, he's been part of the defensive coverage for Duke, and they turned that corner in the March Madness, winning those 3 games. And so through defense, and yeah, look, as long as we can keep Shire and the coaching staff, I trust them with the roster and what they believe is what's best for the program.
It's been a fun one today on this April 1st. Again, it sucks the season is over. I hate that we're not previewing Duke's Final Four game coming up on Saturday, but that happens sometimes. Still, Duke basketball never stops. We love it just as much as we did yesterday, and we'll love it just as much coming up tomorrow. So, Jordan, the time and your perspective is always so important, and grateful we got to spend our first basketball season together, man, talking shop throughout the whole year.
Yeah, brother. It's been hey, I appreciate you having me on this whole season. So I can't wait to do it next year. But yeah, this season was awesome. So appreciate you having me.
We got a long off season coming up. We've got more Twitter accounts for Jordan to build back up as football season will be here before we know it. Thanks for the time, Jordan. We'll do it again soon. Okay.
See you, brother.
All right. That's Jordan Mann joining us here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. And that's going to do it for our show here today. Throughout the week, we'll have more fresh thoughts from our frequent guests here on Locked On Blue Devils, following the end to this basketball season, and a brief look ahead to what next year could look like for Duke men's basketball. The season ends for Duke 76-64. NC State advances to the Final Four. That's going to do it for our show here today. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you tomorrow. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.